Hi students, welcome to today's session with THiNC Institute. And today yet again, we'll be starting to look into the situation test questions that have been coming up in this present year. And moving forward, I'll be sharing my slide. Just have a look into it and I'll be going through the questions and giving you an insight into how to go about the question and how you tackle such questions when it comes in future. So I hope my screen is visible to you guys. Yeah. So today, basically, like last 2 days, you guys were having your test, and now you have the questions with you. And what we can do is we'll go through the questions and try to understand what exactly had to be done in terms of facing such a question. What are the possible things that you could have done, or what is the way that you go through the question and get answers to such questions when it is put forward in front of you. So let me start with the questions that came for this year. So the first question, the first option which you got in the questions is to create a transportation device which has facilities like medicines, medical facilities, food, and other amenities in terms of providing with people who are inside the transport. And also this should be a vehicle that should be mobile in terms of land as well as water. So more like something that is amphibious. And they have also mentioned about this vehicle being a rescue boat or a rescue vehicle in terms of a natural disaster, something like flood or something. So you can see that they want you guys to take an inspiration from an amphibian creature, basically a creature which survives on both land as well as water. And also they have asked to specify the name of the creature that you've gone for and to explain in words that what is the inspiration and what is the idea or the concept that you come up in terms of like making the model that you got. And the next question is to go and design something futuristic. As mentioned, they have put the year 2050 and they have given 3 different objects and you have to design those objects for the future year. So these are 2 different questions that came in the question paper. So let's start with the first question. As you can see the images on the screen. So basically, if you know about the concept of Noah's Ark. So Noah's Ark is something that was devised years ago in terms of knowing, when there is a natural calamity or an end of a world or the last day of the world comes in, what will happen is that the person who designed it, he wanted all the animals or all the humans and creatures to be inside this particular ark. And also this was facilitated with a living space for humans as well as animals and cattle, and also for plants and other, non-movable living things. Such things can be put inside this arch, and this would protect the people from a lot of natural calamities that is happening. And moving further, I want to tell one more thing is that there is live chat option that is available. So you can look into that. And if you have any queries, just put in the queries and I'll answer to such questions in between whenever I can. So moving forward about Noah's Ark. So this would be a basic concept that should come into your mind when it comes to a rescue vehicle in terms of natural calamity or floods are coming. So furthermore, devising such a vehicle in terms of what you have learned or what you have seen in movies, maybe a movie which you all might have watched, which is 2012, as a movie which is based on the world ending and, the whole world is getting flooded and there is fire and everything everywhere. But in such a event, the movie also shows that they have come up with a ship which can, accommodate a lot of human population so that they can survive towards the end of the journey. So similarly, you can get ideas and concepts from such movies, which can be used, to build the concept to such a question. Now, in other images, what I've shown here is that there are, multi-surface modular vehicles or amphibious vehicles, which works on land as well as water. So you can see the design is something similar to a ship, but at the same time, these vehicles also have wheels, which helps it run on land as well. So the other vehicle, if you can see, what you can see is the tires are so inflated that it can float on water. And the pattern of the tires also help the vehicle, to run across water surfaces. That is what you can see. So such concepts when put together and developed into a design can bring up an answer to the question that has been asked. Now, the other thing which this question has is the specification, where they have asked, to come up with ideas in terms of having, medical facilities, availability of food, and other amenities that will be needed. Now, when you come to designing such an object, either you can do two different ways of designing this thing. One is you show the whole vehicle and indicate that the vehicle or the device has you know has a facility of providing medical support, or has a facility of having food arrangements done inside. That is one case. The next case is you can also show the half vehicle, and the half vehicle which is cut open, which can be designed by you yourself by making model, and the cut open part will show what are the amenities that is available inside the vehicle. So there are two ways of approaching such a question. The first way is where you will have to give the explanation in terms of indications and signages on the vehicle. You're constructing the whole vehicle, which is complete, and you have to give instructions that this part of the vehicle would provide medical facilities, or this part of the vehicle is for food, and things like that. But when you show a dissection of the vehicle, it is more like a self-explanatory model, where you're shown that these are the facilities which is available inside the vehicle or the transportation device. So the other part is the important features of what it makes an amphibious vehicle, survive on land as well as water. Now, amphibians are normal creatures where they have the accessibility to both land as well as water. They can survive on both these terrains. Now, when it comes to amphibians, there are certain points that amphibians use in order to understand what is happening around it and how they control themselves. So this is an image of where it shows that certain things which is available on an amphibian's body itself. So what you can see is that they have water and oxygen sponge, which is like they can absorb water as well as oxygen through their skin. So amphibians are something of a creature which can get in oxygen from the body surface when it is needed. They don't actually need to breathe through their nose all the time. That's one thing. Second thing is they have a lung cord, which is basically the same thing. The ability to absorb oxygen via body skin. Next thing is they have a lot of sensors on their body. They are meant to sense shadows, or sense what is in front of them, what is an object that is in front of them, so they can sense it from some distance. So things like that which is there. And they also have a special ability to have night vision when it is too dark. So such small abilities of amphibians can also be considered when you're coming up with such a model, which gives your ship or your transportation device such features, where it shows that this device can be used at pitch darkness without light, because it can sense it has night visions, or the ship can resurface to the water at any moment of time in order to get oxygen. And such additional features can also be put in, considering which amphibian you're selecting. And also they have mentioned the name of the animal which you're selecting. So if it is just a normal frog model, you can go for a frog's body design. You can adapt that body design and put it into a ship to ensure that it is easy for that vehicle to enter and exit water from land. That can be one thing. Or if it is like you want the vehicle to be something which is very movable, so you can use an inspiration from any of the amphibian which has long body. What something like a snake that can also like have multiple segments in the vehicle which can move around different objects that comes in between the ways. So things like that can also be included. Now, taking further, what I'm going to show is right now some designs which is mostly amphibious vehicles that has already been in terms of research, and it is happening. So it is not that the world is not moving towards such possibilities where you might need a vehicle that runs on land as well as water. There are been companies or corporates, they are already working on such vehicles, and they actually take inspiration from amphibians. So I'll just show some models of how it looks. So these are some vehicles which has the design which helps it run on the land terrain, as well as if it is put inside water also it can run through. Now, how does these things work? It is depending upon how their shape is. It can be aerodynamic shape, or it can be built in a way where it is hydrodynamic as well, basically to work inside water surfaces. Now, the major, so this is one of the designs that I've zoomed in to show you what are the things that could, be inculcated in such a design if you're coming up with a design. First is the shape of the vehicle, which is basically inspired from any of the amphibian. So this shape should help the vehicle in to get inside water and exit outside the water. So that should be into consideration. And also the possibility of such a vehicle being used on, surfaces like, land. So the tire part of the vehicle is something important that can act as a, broad tire, like normal wheel tire, or it can also act like a fan or a propeller for when it is inside the water. So things like that. And again, the visibility of the vehicle should always be, 360 in terms of some vehicle which is inside a hydro structure inside water. What happens is you need around visibility for such structures. That also should be something that you should keep in mind. So that also you can show it in the model that you have. So whenever such questions come in terms of when to go ahead with some devices which is futuristic or which has a lot of features. So what you can do is to have uh, a structure which is made, which is minimalistic in design, but at the same time, the design should look so techno that it is modernized. So basically, when it comes to our mind that what is modernized and what looks better is something minimalistic, but with that minimalistic designs, the features or the textures and the small elements added on to the vehicle should make it look like it is futuristic. So like wings opening or the tires having a special extra additional element which comes out in terms of helping in different surfaces, and a back tail which can move around. So such small things would actually add detail to your design, which will give you more of a idea of that this vehicle is actually both terrain usable. So that is about this whole idea of how you can use the design in terms of making a transportation device that is futuristic as well as usable for any natural calamities. And one more thing is that if you ever want to show the materials that is being used on the vehicle, the one possibility is to show the texture of the material, and then also make sure that you mention about the materials that is used to make the vehicle, so that if the vehicle comes into contact with something which is hot or something which is of a high temperature, how will the vehicle resist that such a thing? Or if it is getting under too much of pressure, how will the vehicle resist such a high pressure underwater? And such minute details also you can put it up so that that's also visible in the model that you're making. Now going ahead, the next one would be the question which has been asked in terms of designing a 3D model for few elements which has been mentioned for the year 2050. So considering present year 2050 is almost like 30 years ahead from today, 28 to be exact. So what you can do is when you're thinking about a design which is very futuristic, put in design which is minimalistic again, add of elements which is techno, maybe a lot of lighting elements, maybe a lot of motion elements that can be put into 3D models that can be there. So when it comes to putting motion elements in terms of making structures in a situation test, you can use simple to simple mechanisms like a toothpick which is held to move around a door which is there, or move around an extra element, sliding out extra elements. Such small things can add on value to your designs. So that can be considered when you're doing futuristic designs. Now, the other thing is the material, the model you're making has to be very bright. From the set of material you have got this time, you have thick pastel papers, which can be used to make such designs where it makes the vehicle look very bright. And also you can use colored clay, which you have which you have received this time, to make complex textures on the vehicle or around the vehicle. Clay is something which you can mold easily into different shapes that you have in your mind. So that's something that you can use again. Now, the other two things which are main and focus in terms of futuristic designs is it should be sustainable as well as reusable. So any design, let it be a vehicle, let it be a garment, or let it be, interior, anything that you make in terms of futuristic design should always maintain two things, which is sustainability and it should be recyclable. This have also been mentioned in my previous classes, where I mentioned that you should make sure the sustainability part is very much into play right now. Let it be any institute or let it be any corporate. All the companies are trying to make sure that their goal towards the future is to make sure there is zero emission and materials they use are sustainable. So the same concept also should be maintained in the designs that you're making for future. So keep such things in mind when you're designing for models. Now I'll go for the elements that were given in the question and how to come up with you know, the model that could have possibly been made in order to have futuristic uh, looking elements for these things. So the first thing was a military headgear that should be designed in order to, you know, show it that the soldiers or the fighters in 2050 are using this particular helmet, which is very futuristic. Now, when it comes to the defense forces, the futuristic part is where you show that they have so much of advanced technology that they can protect themselves from a threat, or you know, make sure that they are not harmed from whatever is coming towards them. Such things can be shown. Now, in these images, you can see that there are some concept designs of helmets that has been shown, and there is one model which has already been made also. And there is one image where I've shown a clip from a game which shows how a futuristic helmet would look. Now, the major inspiration for such a helmet is mostly something which you can take from the games that is coming up in this era. So considering the year 2020 or 2021 and 2022, last 3 years, what you can see is gaming has been something that has developed drastically in terms of bringing out futuristic things into play. Now, if you are a gamer and if you know how games work, you will understand that all the elements or all the vehicles used in the game, or all the weapons used in the game, or all the gears that is used in the game are always made futuristic, and a functional side of this thing is also being shown in the game in your playing. So a helmet that has a holographic display, or which can also have a HUD display, such things are also included in present day games. So to know more about how future can look like, or how you know, things in future would appear like, you can always take reference of games. If you are not a gamer, go to YouTube. You can watch a lot of gaming videos where you can see how these objects are designed. It's not only in terms of, you know, helmets. You can also see in terms of vehicles that is being shown, in terms of buildings that is being shown, in terms of, you know, communication devices that is being shown, and also humans, how would they look in future. So such things are always there, put up in games, and that's also a nice reference if you want to understand how elements would look in future. Now, moving on, that is one inspiration in terms of helmet. So that can be used in, you know, devising a helmet which will have extra facilities, extra features, additional cameras on top, HUD display, which is heads up display, or then you can have a holographic connect, and such things can be put up. Now the next element was to have an umbrella which is futuristic. So presently developing umbrellas have already come where they have changed the structure of how the umbrella would appear, the sides of the umbrella, the top part of the umbrella, and, you know, the purpose of the umbrella. It's not just that the umbrella is used just for, you know, protecting yourself from rain present day. It's also used for protecting yourself from sunlight. It can also be used as a multi-purpose device which can turn into a tent maybe. So umbrella which can be opened and turns into a tent, that is helpful. So small you know, innovations in terms of umbrellas are there. Now there is an image of a white stick like looking device, which is actually an umbrella which works with air. So the purpose of that particular device is to have a umbrella which just has a nozzle on the top. And the idea is that once you switch on the umbrella, there will be air circulation devices which pushes air on the sides, which will act like an umbrella in terms of rain. If it is falling, it will be pushed to the sides. So you're protected. So these are, like, you know, innovations that has been done in umbrella. And then you can see a device which has, you know, touch screen, Bluetooth, opening and closing, electronic opening and closing. So such features. These are small gimmicks that you can find in umbrella, but when you put it into action and when you put it into design, these can actually be very helpful in terms of developing a futuristic umbrella. Now there is another two images where one is a sketch of how a different design of umbrella can look, and the other one is a guy holding an umbrella which is not a conventional umbrella shape. So you can also play around with the geometry and the physics of how an umbrella would work, give different shapes and different styles to the umbrella, and see how exactly it can, come up in terms of design, and what can be the feature that can be added to such a different design when you go for an umbrella. Now, again, I've just added one umbrella, which is a metallic structure. This can be an umbrella which can be used for far, far future purposes. Now, standing in this present era time, what you can see is that the umbrellas in present era time is just to protect us from rain and sunlight. Now, in going towards future, we are having already enough of things that is happening around the world. You never know what is the future that is holding for us. It might happen that you know there is a war that has happened and there is a lot of nuclear pollution, or maybe a lot of situations where just walking around won't be as easy as now. So at such times you might need umbrellas which has more additional features, like this one in the image would give you an outlook of an umbrella which can also be used as an armor, or which can also be used as a shield from heavy falling, or say heavy materials falling on you, things like that. So it can also be an armor as well as an umbrella. So such innovations can be brought up to show them that what is your perspective about the future world, what can be done in terms of coming up with a device that would make you survive and struggle and survive in future. Such designs can also be brought up in terms of umbrella. These are just basic examples that I'm showing here. Now, the last thing which was asked is about having a pencil box, which is futuristic. Now, the basic idea of pencil box is just to carry, uh, the stationary requirements that anybody has. And for a nursery kid, it is way less than that. Maybe some pencil or erasers and things. Now, presently, if you look at the trend, how the kids are going, they are very much understanding what is happening across the globe. They are too much into technology at the age of what, 2 to 3. They are into mobile phones and mobile devices. They know how things work. They know what has to be done in terms of getting access to such things. So their brain development is bit more faster than compared to the older ones. So in future, that is going to be more faster. So in terms of such a time, what you can do is come up with designs which would help those particular age group of kids to have a pencil box which would be more accessible in terms of user friendliness, or modernity in terms of accessories that is put inside. So it is not just that they'll carry normal pencil or things, because the world, when it is moving towards the new era where there is 3D printers in line, where there are things you can like instantly make it with a 3D printer. So if you don't have a pencil, you need a pencil. You have the pencil, made it from a 3D printer. That can be done at present era. Now going forward in another 30 years, that might go to a level where you just have to press a button, give a design, and you have the print in about 30 seconds or 1 minute of time. So such things can also be inculcated in devices, which is like stationary boxes or pencil boxes, where you can add such features, and also use of biometrics in order to access the box. Facial recognition, such technologies can also be put inside boxes, which will avoid access of the device to any other person. So such security features can also be added, even though we feel like this is too much for a kid to take it to a school or take it to a nursery. But at that point of time in life, and it is 30 years from now, the kids there will need access to such things. That might be the situation. And also, you never know if in future the requirement of oxygen or water is reducing, like we don't have much of resources, it might need that they'll need these resources also to be carried. So such things can also be inculcated in a pencil box. The thought process that you can put is vast, but so out of these requirements, whatever it comes into your mind, just refine the thought process, put in what is necessary that will be in the product, and make the best utilization of the product, and come up with designs that will look compact and again can be used to the best of this requirement. Now when you're making a model for such a thing, what you can do is to come up with designs, or the shape when you're sticking it, it is like accessible, slidable, or push a button open, such things. Now when it comes to the materials that is provided to you, it would be a bit difficult for you to do automation in terms of shaping. But like given whatever reasons, you can always go for, bit of a gimmick where you can like push slide out, things can be done. Or if you're making like if you push one part, there is some other device which is coming up from one side. Such small gimmicks can always be played with materials that has been given to you. It will be just, play with ropes and threads and some toothpicks put inside, giving a mechanism. Such things work out. And again, when you're describing it, you make sure that you should put out the purpose of adding such thing, because if you are not putting out the purpose and if you're not explaining to them why exactly did you come up with such a design, it might be very difficult for the jury panel to understand what exactly you have done, and it would be difficult for them to assess on the basis of it. That is also something. So in these images, I've just shown different types of boxes, how the design can be from the outlook of it. So the first one is just a render of a 3D print that has happened. So the interiors of the box can be split accordingly. The second two is a bit more of a modern boxes, which is like mostly electronic and made of metal or, high polycarbon materials. These can have a lot of additional features that can be put into the box. Like I said, facial recognition, additional security things, they can be done. Now, the below two designs are very minimalistic. It is more of an aesthetic design, and that can be seen in terms of really sorry for this. Just a minute. Yeah. So as I was saying, so these are minimalistic designs where what you can see is that there's a manual box, as well as on the right side, you can see an image of a box which is set up on the desk and is like easily accessible device. There's a zipper and there's a stand to it. So such small gimmicks can also show futuristic designs. But if you mix and match such two different designs together in a box, and you come up with a better design, that is something which you can use as futuristic designs. Now, out of the two questions that I have got and I have explained, what I can see right now is that mostly what NIFT is looking forward is to make sure that you have designs which is futuristic, and it is also something that needs a lot of reusability. So in terms of coming up with designs or design thinking, or in terms of space design, or let it be any possible design that you have been thrown at, when the term futuristic design comes in, what you have to keep in mind is to make sure that the designs are user friendly, they are sustainable, they are bright. Minimalism is a concept that has been a part of future. So such things can be put up, and you make sure that such things are shown in the design, and it is explained in the explanation that you're giving, so that the panel understands what the design is all about. So again, gaming is one thing that you can always look forward to understand futuristic designs. And also there are a lot of magazines that come up with a lot of innovations in design in terms of interiors or devices. That is also a reference point which you can always use. And for a personal reference, you can always visit websites like WGSN. WGSN is a website that predicts futuristic designs, that also you can refer. So I think that is it for today from my side, in terms of showing how this question paper was and telling you how you can come up with ideas in terms of having the design or discussion done in terms of when you're getting futuristic design. Any more queries or questions that you have when it comes to such a question paper, you can put it there. And always make sure that you get more of such content from THiNC Institute by subscribing to the channel, and also putting up the notification so that you get the notification when there is any live that is happening. I think that's it for today from my side. Thank you, guys.